We'll have a question and answer session at the end of the presentation. Thank you. Anne, feel most welcome to share your presentation.
Thank you, Edna. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Confirming, yeah, that the systems are working. Thank you so
Yes.
much, everybody. My name is Obae Anne. As introduced, I'm working with the Water Sector Trust Fund. And I'm going to take us through, all of us, through the work of the Water Sector Trust Fund, and largely our ministry and the efforts that the agency, alongside the ministry and partners, have been doing to put in efforts in terms of mainstreaming climate change issues in the water sector, financing, as ably put by Edna, and also attempts to employ green technologies in the water and sanitation sector in Kenya. So just in a moment, I'll try to share my slide. Could you kindly confirm if you're able to?
Yes, we can see your screen. Just put it in presentation mode.
Okay, just a moment. Is that okay? Edna, is that okay?
Yes, that's fine.
Yes,
okay.
it's fine.
Okay, thank you so much. So just to give a preamble that the presentation is quite a number of slides, but the agreement with the host is that I do the introduction of the whole presentation, but because this is more. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. I proceed. Okay, yeah, I was saying that I just do the preamble of the presentation. That is just the executive summary of the presentation, and then the introduction of who the Water Sector Trust Fund is and who they are working with, especially on these efforts on climate change and water and the greening of the water sector in Kenya. Then Lavender would run case studies, and we thought that was very important because these are the voices from the communities where different efforts have been undertaken by the Water Sector Trust Fund and the partners and the ministry in terms of these efforts, so that we see the real work, and then I'll just come and wrap it up in terms of explaining the technicality around it. So thank you so much. So today's presentation, as introduced, is all about looking at the green technologies that the water sector in Kenya has been financing and supporting in different parts of the country. Some of them, as introduced, we have solar pumping systems, we have rainwater harvesting tanks, we'll see mangrove restoration, among others. And as put across, we are going to look at success stories and case studies. The case studies that we are going to look at, particularly, we had, in this presentation, we had four case studies stroke success stories, but we have picked on two. One is in the coastal parts of Kenya, where we are going to look at the aspects around mangrove restoration, issues of rainwater harvesting, and how these plug into the issues of climate resilience. When you're talking about mangrove restoration, then we are talking about how does the restoration of the mangrove forest come in as important ecosystems in terms of conserving the coastal areas and taking care of the fauna and flora in these areas, and specifically looking at even the livelihoods of those communities, where we know that the mangroves are very important breeding areas for marine fish. And we know, again, the coastal communities, when it comes to construction, they're also depending on the mangrove forest to get materials for construction and all that. And thirdly, also we know that the mangroves they act as barriers when it comes to issues of storms from the high seas to cushion the inland from likely effects of storms and all that. Then the second case study is away from the coastal areas, is in the highlands of Kenya, and this is around Mount Kenya region, where we are going to see what the Water Sector Trust Fund, together with the International Fund on Agricultural Development, has been able to do with the communities, specifically the community forest associations and the water resources users associations, in terms of reforestation efforts, in terms of integrated water resources management and all that. The essence is to look at how these efforts in the long run will build in terms of gearing towards the 15 billion forest cover, which in terms of climate change, again, we are talking about increasing our carbon sinks as a country. The first case study that I mentioned for the coastal areas is largely funded by the Danish government. The following slide is just to explain who the Water Sector Trust Fund is. I'm sure maybe a number of us have heard about it, but for the benefit of those that have not heard about Water Sector Trust Fund, or abbreviated as Water Fund, it's a state government corporation under the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. And our mandate is to assist in financing and provision of water services to the different areas in Kenya, both rural and urban. And in terms of climate action, we are collaborating with a number of development partners, or if you like it, people call them donors. We have Danida. At the moment, we have a program that is actively running in 6 counties in the arid and semi-arid areas on sustainable management, water and sanitation access. We have also a program with the European Union on climate proofing of water supply and sanitation infrastructures. It's also in arid and semi-arid areas. We have a program with the World Bank, known as the Horn of Africa for Groundwater Resilience, that is in 5 arid and semi-arid counties, and it is also a regional program that is also in Ethiopia and Eritrea and Somalia. And then we have the Patana, where I have just mentioned that was funded by IFAD. It ended last year, and it's also focused on increased sustainable livelihoods, food production, increasing incomes, and issues around natural resource management, environment, and climate change. So having said that, the follow-up slides will be more of explaining what we are going to see in a practical sense. So I will usher in Lavender to share the 2 case studies. Then after that, we will proceed. Thank you.
Thank you,
So Lavender, can I stop sharing?
Yes, please.
Okay. So I'm trying to look for the icon to stop sharing.
It's a red icon.
Sorry? Oh, yeah.
It's a red icon in the middle of the screen.
No, mine is on the, it's not really in the middle of the screen. It's on the tab, but it's not. Or can I just try to see if I can run it from my side? I'm not sure if it will accept to override.
That will be okay. Let's just
let me just see, because they are here. I'm not sure if it will, because I had even opened it up. Just
okay.
Yeah, I hope it will. I'm not sure if it's.
I think it's still loading.
Lavender, could I just call someone from ICT to assist me, please?
That's okay.
Or you can just to drop this one and you load the other one. Just 1 minute.
Oh, it's okay.
Okay, sorry for that. Na ni kama imekubali. Ni kama imekubali. Let me see. Hi, Lavender.
Hi, and it's Edna sharing the screen.
It's you sharing the screen. You
Yeah,
managed to remove the other one. Okay.
So should I proceed with the video?
Proceed. But are you able to? Is the sound on?
But is the sound?
Yeah, the sound for the video.
It's not clear to you?
No, just try to play. Is the sound on, the audio?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Okay, proceed. Thank you.
And just to confirm with the rest of the audience, if you can hear the video clearly.
no, we can't hear.
You can't hear?
No.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, because I could also not hear any sound. So I was wondering if it's my machine or something. Or you can try the other one. Because there are like four case studies. So
Let me play it again so that you confirm if you're able to hear the audio.
okay.
From drought, decreased fish quantities from River Tana. Lower Tana Delta Conservation Trust that
Yeah, it's okay now. I can hear. I don't know the rest. Lavender. Hello.
Hello, Anne.
It seems like on my side, the audio went again. I don't know the rest. But if they're hearing is fine because I know.
We can hear you. We can hear.
No, I'm
Oh, you
saying
can
the
hear.
audio for the documentary.
Can the rest of the audience get the audio for the documentary?
Because if they are able to get, then I'm okay.
The only thing is that we can't hear the sound from the video you're playing. That is
Yeah, that's what I meant. Yeah.
oh, okay. Okay. No, we can.
Let's sort out.
It's not moving.
Or you can play the other one if this one is.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Let me stop sharing. This one is sort that out.
My name is Peter Kariuki Koro, Forest Station Manager, Jokini West Forest Station in through Highland Conservancy. Our mandate is to conserve forest and allied forest natural resources. At forest station level, we normally have forests, a participatory forest management plan. That's whereby out of this plan, we collaborate with the Community Forest Association in implementing the activities there in the plan. The collaboration between this office, Jokini West Forest Station, and Jokini West Community Forest Association, it has been very cordial. The Jokini Community Forest Association had received some funding from other sectors to implement the activities in the participatory forest management plan. And these activities require some technical backstopping. So, especially establishment of a tree nursery, which require technical experts. So, at the same time, also the Kenya Forest Service has also facilitated the Jokini West Forest Community Association with 1 million Kenya shillings. That is to add value on the fish pond that they had already started with their own money.
My name is Jamrik Jagi Ireri, the treasurer, Jokini West Community Forest Association. Jokini West Community Forest Association is located in Kirinyaga County, and we are situated in Jokini West Forest Station. Jokini West Community Forest Association was formed in the year 2007, to be exact, on 30th of April of that year. Since year 2017, we have received 5.5 million. Out of that, the community have raised in kind and 0.5 M. From that funding, we have had activity like establishing a tree nursery with a capacity of 100,000 seedlings. We have also managed to put up a greenhouse, which has assisted us in prolificating the giant bamboo seedlings. We have also managed to rehabilitate 25 hectares of degraded area along Rukingazi River. Since the funding, we have managed to assist the community around 800 families with 10 hash avocado seedlings which they have planted in their homes.
My name's Wilson Jage Jamba. I came from Jokini West CFA in a group called Motegene Personal in Motegene Village. Before I seen the training, I have not staying well because I have no financial. I had no good house, and the life was not so good. So we got a call from the CFA where they gave us a training, which we were training about nursery establishment and management. The training was for 3 days. When I was given the training by the CFA, I went and struggled to get some financial for my own. Where when I got the financial, I started to establish my own nursery. Where I started. My nursery is not so big, it's a small one. It is almost 50 by 25 feet. When I started my own nursery, in the first round, I had some 5,000 seedlings, which I managed to put in my nursery, which I sold at each at 20 seedlings, which gave me 100,000 monthly cash, which I started generating my life. When I get that month, I decided first to build a good house. From the one which I was not in a good condition, even was not good to be seen by the people. And now I was so happy because I built a stone house and I started continuing with the nursery and they grow other trees like fruits. So we grow some trees, which also we have some support in the communities, the low prices that they can afford, and it has helped us so much to in our livelihoods has changed.
Through the funds from the sales from the nursery, we have managed to put up an office and a hall in the compound at the station. We have also managed to raise, to put up fish pot and stocked it with fish tilapia, that is the kind of the fish. We have also managed to start an apiary with 20 Rangstro beehives. We have also got the traditional beehives. We have also got the CFA, that is Jokini West Community Forest Association, has become self-sustaining. We have managed to come up with fish pots. We have managed also to come up with beehives. We have also managed to train scouts, 20 in number, who assists in the forest protection, which is so important as far as the forest is concerned.
The co-relationship between KFS, especially Jokini West Community Forests Association, and the Jokini West Forest Station Manager is that the community has assisted to rehabilitate 25 hectares of forests, degraded forest area around developing us, and also the community has also assisted in the establishment of plantation forests, that is 23 hectares, through that's good collaboration between us and the forest. Besides that, the community has also embraced the forests, whereby now they are assisting us in even policing, controlling the illegal activity in the forests. The Community Forest Association, they are bridging the gap.
Let me take this opportunity to thank our donors, that is Water Fund, through Apatana and also the IFAD. And let me also take the opportunity to thank the KFS for the technical support they have provided us. The community have also played a key role in all what has been going on in this project. My name is Tarakisio Erikawe. I'm the chairman of the Timbogo Water. We belong to River Subcatchment area of Ghana catchment. We have been able to secure some funding to the tune of 3.3 million. Our project, the community contribution is around 1 billion, which was generously given in kind. We received the first tranche in June 2019 to the tune of 1.8 million, which we were able to do abstraction and pollution survey. After completion of the project, then we went further to do the marking and pegging of our two rivers. I mean, two rivers. One is Itimbogo, and the other one is Middle Ina, and we were able to do it on the both sides of the river on 25 kilometers stretch. In 22, which we received in June 2020, we were able to plant bamboo seedlings because we believe bamboo is a very important plant in conservation of water sources and water resources. Then we planted also the indigenous water-friendly trees around the 25 kilometers of both rivers, of which we had marked and pegged. Last project in 2022 was our spring at the Kurungu spring, which was constructed, and now it's finished. We are adding it over to the community in the next 1 week. Generally, the community have been very, 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 very appreciated. They have appreciated because, like the Kurungu, there are so many people who are doing water there. Now that the spring is assisting more than 1,500 people, and we have around 500 homesteads which are doing water from there.
Jina langu naitwa Max Wawira Jero na niko katika kijiji cha Kakurungu Village. Hii mlandi inaitwa Kakurungu Springs. Na ilianza kitambo, tulikuwa tunakuja kuchota maji hapa, lakini maji yenyewe haikuwa mzuri kama ilivyo saa hii. Mbele tulikuwa tunachota maji na kitu ya kuchota, yani tunatumia kama kasufuria hivi ama kasahani ndio mtungi ijae, na tulikuwa na shida mingi sana hapo mbeleni. Maana hata maji pa kuchotea palikuwa machafu, hatukuwa na enough. Tulikuwa tunapanga laini sote, maana ilikuwa tu mahali pamoja. Kabla hii kisima haijatengenezwa, kulikuwa na madhara mingi sana. Maana tulikuwa tunachota hata maji machafu, watu wanapata magonjwa, watu watoto hata sana watoto. Najua watoto ndio zaidi sana kushika magonjwa haraka haraka.
One of the benefits is the health, because when they called me to go and visit the spring, they said that they've been getting waterborne diseases because the water which was being drawn there was not healthy. Because when it rained, there is an erosion, of course, and that from the plants, the fertilizers, the chemicals sprayed on the plants, it was mixing with the water which they were drawing. But now they have very clean water. In fact, the lab test has been done and the water is wonderful.
Wakati sasa hii mradi imekuja na hawa donors, tumefurahi sana maana tumeona maendeleo hapa, tunachota maji mzuri, the place is clean, na sisi kama wanakijiji wale wanatumia hii maji tunashukuru sana maana tumeletewa mambo mzuri na hawa madonors. Hata the compound itself tumeona tumefenziwa mzuri sana, mbele hapa kulikuwa kichaka, hata ungetuma mtoto asubuhi, but wale walikuja kutengeneza hii kisima, waliona hata ni mzuri watengeneze kwa fence na wakapanda miti, na tunaona hiyo kitu ni mzuri. The place is clean, hakuna kuna giza ama nini, hata watoto wanachota maji hata asubuhi, hata wamama. Tunashukuru sana hawa madonors.
I want to take this opportunity to thank our donors, all of them, because if it were not for them, the community could not have they could not have benefited from those projects. The first donor is a Water Sector Trust Fund, who we know as our closely related donor. Then we have a Patana and the Droughts Fund. Then we have the community of very contributed. Then on a technical issue, the Water Resources Authority have been contributing through their technical advice on our side. And then also, I don't want to forget my rural members. They have done a lot of job when we are doing together as a team. They have also contributed.
I think we've reached the end of that case study. So I'd like us to proceed, if that's okay with Anne.
Thank you. Now, it seems like the first case study had issues. Probably I could just run through the presentation. As you check it out again, if we'll have some time, you can always play the other one, because that was bringing in the different perspective of the coastal areas. If members agree, we can proceed with the presentation. If we get some time, we can play the second case study. If not, then they can be shared. Is that okay?
That's very okay. We can always share the links with them together with the presentation. Okay. But for now, I will proceed.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so as I was saying that, okay, that was the, can you hear me?
So we can hear you.
Yes, so we were to share two case studies, one on the coastal areas, on the mangrove restoration and water harvesting issues and all that. And what I would request that I think Edna and Lavender, those 4 links can be pasted in the chat, so that people can even view them on their own as we continue with the discussion. So I talked about the key development partners that we are working with on climate action within the water sector and at the fund. And sorry, I'm just just a moment. I want to confirm that I'm sharing the right presentation, because I'm seeing like there is a mix-up. Just okay. A moment. Yeah, just a moment, because I'm seeing the way the slides are. Yeah, so we can proceed. Yeah, I was saying that the 2 case studies and others that will be shared will be showcasing the work that the Water Sector Trust Fund has been doing together with the partners. And I had talked about the different partners that we are working with. But some of the technologies, the green technologies that the Water Sector Trust Fund at the ministry has supported and worked together with the communities in different parts of the country include, for example, water harvesting and storage for improvement of the water resources availability. And on the flip side is also to take care of issues of flooding, which we have seen that in the recent past, we had cases of flooding everywhere. And when you look at it from the climate change perspective, that within those catastrophes of flooding, there lies opportunities of building resilience for our country and for communities by installing green technologies that would harness this water and improve water storage and accessibility. I think the case study that we've seen clearly talks about issues of increasing forest cover. I think it is self-explanatory. We have also viewed the work of the Water Resources Use Association in the clip that has just ended. And the essence is to enhance water source protection, development and management. And we have seen a case whereby springs are being developed, and the essence is to improve the water yields and also the quality, and also reduce water and climate related conflicts. Other things that the ministry and together with the Water Sector Trust Fund have been doing is on the soft side is the strengthening of the capacities at the national and the county governments to ensure that we have good enabling environment for delivery of these services. There's also been development of models for sustainable and efficient water use, and also issues boiled around issues of creating jobs and also replacing of the old infrastructural systems. Also, the Water Sector Trust Fund in its current strategy has been thinking about setting up of a carbon trading scheme, or rather, if you want to call it a project. The essence is that looking at the conservation efforts that have been happening, the program that we just saw in the case study that concluded is just one of the programs that has been doing conservation efforts and tree growing and tree planting efforts. But there are others, for example, under the NIDA, if you will watch the clip around the mangroves, you will see the same. And the essence is to try and look at, if we look about the acreage of trees that have been planted and grown, and then qualify this in terms of carbon credits that are being sequestered from the CO2 emissions that are being sequestered from the environment, then it is possible to come about with a system whereby the fund and the ministry will be able to generate revenues for the sake of plowing back into conservation efforts in the country. The other side is that the solar projects, for example, would be talking about how much CO2 has been avoided by installing solar pumping systems and solar related wash programs. And this again, qualifying this would result into carbon credits that will be plowed back into wash projects. The other aspect is to look into investing in research, technology and innovation. And also at the end of the day is to build sustainability and community resilience. Also, we have been looking at how to come up with strategic partnerships, especially around financing, technical assistance and innovation, especially in the light of looking at sustainable wash financing, and not just wash financing, but wash and climate finance. And the thinking was that as a sector and institution, we have noticed that grant funding is slowly shrinking. So then it calls for need to think creative, to think innovative. And therefore, there's been this push to partner with the private sector, with commercial banks, informal suppliers, among others, just to expand the financing bracket. The following slides, they're more or less of just static pictures of what has been going on, the achievements that have been realized. This one is about the Africa Climate Summit that was there last year, whereby the Water Sector Trust Fund and the ministry actively participated. And there we can see our CEO, was pitching about why it is very, very important to bring in the aspects of climate finance in the water sector, because as Edna introduced, we noticed that the issues that are affecting the sustainability of the wash sector in this country largely also are, they boil around issues of droughts and floods. And if we do not first inculcate these issues in the designs, and then also like put in adequate resources, then we don't get it right when it comes to attaining what we should be doing as a country in terms of serving our people in terms of water and sanitation services. Also, that is about the Africa Climate Summit, just in photos with the First Lady visiting the Ministry of Water, combined stand that was all the agencies and of course the ministry itself. We talked about renewable energy. This is an example of a project in Lamu that was funded by Danida. If that clip was able to play, then we would have seen this in pictures and hear the voices. And the essence is to be a sector that is contributing towards a reduction of the greenhouse gas emissions and not to be an enabler in terms of enhancing global warming. Next slide, we heard about the CFS, the Community Forest Association. So this is that was a different Community Forest Association that were sharing their story. This is a different Community Forest Association in Nyeri. The other one was in Embu. And I think when the chair of the other CFA was explaining about scout training, this is a typical example in pictorials of scout training for Naromoru CFA around Mount Kenya. In terms of livelihoods and climate change and water resources, this is a typical example of a water resource use association in Muranga, around Makuyu area. This we call them RUAS, Water Resources Users Association, is engaging in livelihood activities to ensure that first of all they have enough revenue to run the activities as an entity in terms of integrated water resources management, but also to build their resilience against impacts of climate change. This one is in Turkana. This is under a different program known as the Water and Livelihood Program that ended last year, and this was funded again by Danida. I think the clips are in the presentation, and ARIN should be able to share this. Also, the essence is to make sure that these communities are able to harvest water, but at the flip side, do climate smart agriculture and initiatives to build the resilience of the communities. The next slide is about clean energy and renewable energy. This is in Lamu. It's on the clip that we could not hear the voice, but you will be able to view it for yourself. The essence is to promote clean and effective energy options, to try and encourage the communities and also empower the communities so that they can move away from encroaching the forests and be able to, from encroaching the forest and therefore also like enable them to use clean energy at their households. This one on the flip side, if you also look at it, it's also the issue of making sure that we take care of our carbon sinks, that is the forest areas, but also reducing of the greenhouse gas emissions through clean energy cooking options. The next one is on water harvesting. This is still Lamu, and you will find it in one of the YouTube links. Lamu is known, and the larger coastal area is known that most of the water is saline. So therefore, these underground tanks, commonly known as jabias, mostly they are put in public institutions, hospitals, and schools. This is a school. The essence is to collect rainwater, which can be pumped and used whenever they do not have any other source of fresh water. because otherwise the only option is for them to depend on desalination plants, which is quite expensive. Through DANIDA, the Ministry and the Water Sector Trust Fund, we've done one of the projects. You will see it in one of the links, known as Kiunga Desalination Plant, but it's quite expensive. So apart from that, we have been supporting this rainwater harvesting technologies, just to ensure that communities' resilience against impacts of climate change is built. This one is on the water supply. It's on issues of managing non-revenue water. These are smart meters. The essence is to try and reduce non-revenue water by enhancing tracking and reducing leakages and also leakage detection. Then we have on the sanitation, we have technology known as decentralized treatment facilities, which is largely being done by the water and sanitation companies through our urban program. And the essence is to make sure that the small towns and peri-urban areas that do not have the mainstream sewerage systems are not left out of the sanitation loop. So the essence is that these facilities, the sludge is collected from households or plots and is brought here for treatment. And the treatment process is such to it's environmental friendly, and it's such to an extent that whatever that remains as the byproducts, for example, the water, should be very good or good enough to be taken back into the rivers, into the environment without causing a lot of harm. And then we have also biogas being a product of this process. And we also have the solid waste, which can be used to make briquettes for cooking or organic manure, that's fertilizer. Then the next slide is about nature-based solutions. I think it's in that clip is about issues of tree nurseries, mangroves, and others. This is Lamu. Then this is about also increasing water access for livestock in arid and semi-arid lands, especially Wajir, Mandera, and those other counties, because the Water Sector Trust Fund and the ministry recognizes that without taking care of what people deem as the most important source of their livelihood, then we will not be doing anything. So beyond the water for human consumption, we also focus on the livelihood value chain. Yeah, then I think I talked about water storage, but what is very interesting here to pick from this slide without going into all the words is that one of the things that the Water Sector Trust Fund at the moment and the ministry are doing when it comes to some of these infrastructures, and particularly in this case, the water pans, is that we have moved away from doing small water pans. And the essence around this is to climate-proof these water pans, because we noticed that before this concept of thinking climate change and water and resilience came into space, and the water pans that we were doing any size, because we were not cognizant of what this means in terms of climate resilience. So we noticed that we were doing some of the water pans, and it is either they are not able to withstand floods, or they are not able to carry through the communities if we have a drought episode. So then at this stage, when we are looking at, for example, infrastructures like water pans, then we are thinking about capacity. So we are not doing any water pans that are smaller than 30,000 meter cubed. They have to be either 30,000 meter cubed or greater than that. And the essence is for that water to carry through the pastoral communities for that time. But also there are details which I cannot explain in this presentation because of time. The issue of the designs, just to make sure that in case there is flooding and things like that, then we are taking care of the issues of silting and all that, because most water pans are failing after 1 or 2 years or 3 years of their development because of those challenges. Other technologies that we are talking about here is like rock catchments. I think I've talked about jabias. But another interesting concept is the issue of Roads for Water initiative. Together with the Ministry of Roads and Infrastructure, we discovered that while on the flip side, the roads people are complaining about the roads getting washed away during the very heavy rainfall. On the flip side, you will find that within those very communities or adjacent communities to those roads, people are lacking water. So there's been this idea that has been mooting about having a joint initiative as water and roads in terms of how do we tap this water so that the roads stop getting destroyed, and at the same time, we are creating more water for the communities around the water corridor, the road corridors. This slide is self-explanatory. We are looking at also issues of wash in schools, how to make sure that our public institutions are also resilient when it comes to water access. I think this is self-explanatory also, yeah, improving water access. This one, I think we have already seen it when we were, when the CFA was explaining about the activities in Jukini. And here, what is interesting is the issue of green technologies in terms of ecotourism activities. This is a campsite. Maybe for those who like outdoor activities, you might have come across this name, Kamdunda. It is in Embu. And it's one of the sub-project that came out of Njukini, whereby it's being run by the youth. And the essence is to make sure that they take care of that forest, but at the same time, they are generating some revenue out of this to take care of the scouts that had been trained then. And they help in forest protection. And this project has been very successful because, again, it is sponsoring a number of kids around that particular community. I'm almost getting at the end. Now, at this point, irrespective of these efforts that we are seeing looking good, is that we still have challenges in terms of limitation in terms of financial resources. We need more research in terms of technology and available technologies and adoption, because what we have, like if you see, I have mentioned about solar, I have mentioned about DTFs and all that. You will find that a good percentage of those technologies, they are more of already developed technologies from outside. So we are saying that we need an inward thinking in terms of what can we do for the wash sector in Kenya and maybe in the African continent in terms of coming up with solutions that are local, that are more affordable, so that at the end of the day, because I mentioned about the challenges of resources, even if we don't have adequate donor funding, there are things that can work for us as Kenyans and as Africans. There are also challenges to do with insecurity, especially most of these counties that I've mentioned. I think that is something that we know. Then there are also challenges to do with diminishing water resources. Then there are also limited capacity challenges. This slide is just generally giving all the development partners that we work with within the Water Sector Trust Fund. But we don't have to go through them. I've already mentioned the ones that have been key on the climate action space. And that is it. These particular links, they showcasing the 4 case studies or a success story, they'll be shared. Because of time, I will not insist that we run through them, but we have already seen one of them. And thank you so much. So I would like to end it there and give it back to Edna. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anne, for that brilliant presentation. Indeed, the Water Fund is actually making great strides. And from the case study that we just watched, it is very evident that you are taking a very holistic approach towards addressing such insecurities as water insecurity. And of course, as we know that the moment we achieve a certain level of water security, then we are definitely avoiding all these other social insecurity forms. So at this point, I'd like to open the floor for comments and questions. I'll just scroll through the chat to see if there is any questions. And also to the rest of the audience, if you have a comment, question, or any other insight, feel free to raise up your hand so that we can hear you. I'd like to start with Lavender.
Okay, thanks, Edna. Though Charles has just raised his hand. Charles, you can go ahead.
Yes, thanks a lot for that comprehensive presentation. I was looking at the green framework for Kenya, and a number of countries actually in the region already have developed the green frameworks. I don't know why my face is not visible. Were you guided when you are looking at this infrastructure, especially the water systems? Were you guided by the green framework at the national level? And then also, if you looked at now, how can this now serve, especially the local communities? You've got the eight principles of locally led adaptation. How does these frameworks now facilitate adaptation at the local context, if you manage to look at vis-a-vis the principles for LLA? Because I think most of these initiatives now are going to benefit, especially from financing locally led adaptation, local-led climate action. There's a FLOCA, which is funding or supporting scale-up of adaptation initiatives or climate actions across the 47 counties in Kenya. And what are some of the lessons there maybe moving forward, particularly what also is partly devolved, and of course, adaptation also or climate action is devolved to the national level, to the county and to the county level. Thank you.
Do I answer that, or do I pick all the questions and then?
We just answer that, then we get to the next question.
Okay. Thank you so much, Charles. First of all, is to appreciate about your reference to the green framework for Kenya. But I would like to say that the work that the Water Sector Trust Fund at the moment, so far, what they have been doing in relation to bringing in aspects of climate change and greening has been informed by a technical study that was done with support of the CTCN, the Center for the Climate Center for Technological Network based in Copenhagen. There was a time we engaged them with KIRDI being the national designated entity for CTCN, and they carried out a national study, which we have reports and the issues that came out in terms of climate change mainstreaming and greening of the water sector. Some of these technologies that we have picked upon, for example, solar, were informed by that report. In terms of FLOCA, yes, we are aware there's the FLOCA program being financed by the World Bank through the National Treasury, and by the time we are running some of these efforts, the FLOCA program also had already been designed and it was commencing. But again, I want to go back to the CTCN study, is that when this study was being done, some of the documents that they were referencing, they are the national documents, for example, the National Climate Change Action Plan 2018-2022, the Kenyan NDC 2020, among other framework documents. So I would say that squarely we have not focused on the green framework for Kenya, but there is a reference backdrop that where we are coming from. And in fact, I want to say that one of the things that we did out of this study, which we are still pursuing, that has not borne fruit, because that was the bigger picture of this study. What we are doing in terms of these efforts that you are seeing, the projects, they're just because before this study, Water Sector Trust Fund and the ministry was funding the sector anyway, but we were doing it the conventional way until this study came on board, because we are trying to look at what are some of the aspects that are making the sector not sustainable. So then it was picked upon that these two issues, in a way, they are affecting the sustainability of the projects. So then we have picked it up as the different programs within the Water Sector Trust Fund to make sure that we are aligning. And in our current strategy for Water Sector Trust Fund 2023 to 2027, the climate change and greening aspects stand core as a part of the innovation efforts that we want to look on. But there's the larger picture that we wanted to attain, which we are still pursuing. There's this program that we did. We did a proposal to the Green Climate Fund, and it was on enhancing green technologies and the climate change issues in the wash sector. It was to cover the entire republic, and we are still pursuing it because it passed the concept stage, was giving no objection by the National Treasury, but we are still on it. It's not an easy process, because that one is what would have like given a full-fledged climate finance to this sector, but we are yet to realize it. But we are still pursuing those avenues. Yeah, thank you. I don't know if I answered your question.
Yes, you have actually discussed. Of course, we'll have more conversation also beyond the presentation.
Oh, no problem. You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
And maybe, for instance, focusing on the LREB region, I think we need to, if you have got more data around and conversation around green frameworks within the Lake region in Lake Victoria region, because bringing together 14 counties, so we'll be very happy to have a conversation around that in terms of how do we access such data for water, for livelihood, and because you are a government agency, and it's good that you are really engaging actively. Thank you.
That's okay. That's perfect. We'll discuss. Thank you.
Next, we'll have a comment from Washington. I think he's having a challenge with his microphone. As he sorts that, we'll have a comment from Florence.
Hi, Edna. Sorry to interrupt. Florence is just transitioning to another meeting as well. So maybe I can just come in because of time, and we close this meeting for today. So is that okay?
Yes, sure.
All right. Thank you so much, everybody, for attending this meeting. I really want to not recommend per se, but applaud the Water Sector Trust Fund for the work well done in looking at the climate change adaptation strategies into the water sector. When you leverage on the green technologies, we're really looking at these promising steps that we really need to take as a country. We know that Kenya as a country, we are already facing the water scarcity problem, especially in the ASAL areas, and climate change is coming up strongly to even worsen the situation. So looking at what other organizations are doing, like the Water Sector Trust Fund, is quite challenging, that they are only alone partnering with donors. And Kenya, we have various institutions that can also work with them in order to ensure that we achieve these sustainable practices and make a resilient community in terms of water accessibility, availability, and sort of. So that's my comment, just to applaud the organization for the work well done. And we really need to be challenged as an organization, especially the research sector. Charles has brought up the aspect of working with the LREB community, not just the LREB team, but also the local community. ASAL communities are not part of the LREB, but they really need to be involved in this kind of project so as to achieve the Vision 2030 of having a quality life for all. That's my comment, Edna. Back to you.
Okay.
Thank you for that comment, Lavender. And to close us off, I'd like to invite Dr. Agevi.
Yeah, thank you very much, Edna, for inviting me. Thank you very much, Anne. That was very, very insightful. And we are just neighbors here, but we didn't know actually this is all what you do with regards to water security in Kenya. It is really quite good. And of course, as ARIN, there are many avenues that we can be able to collaborate moving forward. You really have addressed many aspects that your organization is doing with regards to water access, water quality, water quantity, which is very critical, and especially in the ASAL areas where we have issues to do with water. And also, in addition to what Lavender has said, also LREB, despite the LREB region as having the area having the lake, but they are still having issues to do with water. And so it is an area that really needs some investment. You really have brought out an element of effectiveness, especially in adaptation interventions. And you have clearly told us that it is important for us to go green in terms of investment in adaptation interventions, so that we can be able to address the aspect of water insecurity in Kenya. And then, of course, you have also brought out that as a water trust fund, you cannot be able to do this work alone. That is why you have been seeking for collaboration from other agencies like IFAD, EU, World Bank, among others. And these are organizations that you have been working on with regards to the financing aspect. And you clearly brought out that it is very important. It is important that we also look at how the private sector can come in and also close the financing gap so that we can move forward together. Then I think you also brought out an issue of investing in water funds. This is an area that also is coming up. And currently in Kenya, we have the Nairobi Water Fund that I know of. I know of the Iten Water Fund. And also, I have also been involved in the development of the current River Yala Water Fund. And it is indeed that there is a lot of initiatives happening. What we only need is collaboration and working together to ensure that we achieve our objectives. Maybe just to ask, even despite all this you have been doing, could you maybe say that there has been maybe some gaps maybe where you have not tackled, or even as you have been doing all this good work, maybe you have been faced with some challenges that you see a potential for future research or investment? I think that is what I can be able to say, and I end there. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Agevi. And I will not go back to your comments, but I will go to your last bit where you've talked about the gaps. Yes, in my presentation, there are two key areas that I mentioned. I mentioned about innovation and research, especially on green technologies. Because if you look at the moment what the Water Sector Trust Fund and the ministry and the development partners that we are working with the conventional technologies that exist. What we are trying to say is that this is good, but it's not good enough. Is it possible to have like locally led solutions? Because yes, if we are talking about renewable energy, for example, you're talking about solar. Yes, solar is there, but how many Kenyan entrepreneurs are coming up with the solar solutions? Very few, or maybe none. Mostly we are importing from, if it's not Europe, it's Asia and things like that. What that means is that we are likely to be, over time, yes, we will go clean energy, we'll go green, but we are likely to still remain dependent. We'll not have that sustainability because, one, if you install a solar system and over time you have it wearing out, it means if you need a replacement of anything on that solar system, you have to rely on that particular country or that particular entity, which is outside the country. If we are talking about, like, you will watch the clip on the Kiunga, the osmosis, the reverse osmosis project that we also supported together with the Danish government. You will notice that most of the parts, most of the expertise, they are not locally available. So there is the issue of the technology. There is the issue of parts, the O&M issues, the operation and maintenance. There is the issue of capacity, local capacity. We need those issues here. If we really have to grow as a country, as a continent, we have to have most of those things domiciled locally rather than us looking outward. Then the second issue is the climate finance in the wash sector. Yes, if you look at the Kenyan NDC and look at the sectors, talk of water, talk of energy, talk of agriculture or any other sector, then the thinking is that, oh, can we get money from the European Union? I've just talked here that, oh, we are pursuing Green Climate Fund. All those are conditional sources of funding, like international sources. That is why I talked that can we think also local in terms of what are the innovative ways can we come up as a country in terms of marshalling these resources locally. I liked what was happening during the Africa Climate Summit, where I was repertorying and attending one of the session on the green bonds. And the essence is, the thinking was, how can we be able to raise our own resources locally for climate actions? Can we think about, for example, they were talking about the Nairobi Stock Exchange and many other initiatives that we can do locally as a country at the county level and generate some revenue. Instead of us saying totally that if today we differ with the United States and USAID says there is no funding, then we cannot go green. Does it mean that that is the thinking? So those are the challenges. Those are the challenges that we are more of financially looking outwards, technologically looking outwards, capacity-wise looking outwards. We need to build our own, like, local solutions to these challenges. That would be my parting shot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think I return back to Edna, maybe, like continue from there.
Thank you, Dr. Gebi, for that. Lavender has an announcement to make before we take our final photo. Lavender.
Okay, thank you, Edna. Once more, thanks everyone for attending this meeting. I just have one quick announcement to make. I believe all of us here are the fellows, if I'm not wrong, apart from the ARIN Secretariat team. So there's a mini grant that has been announced on the LEAVES project. I think you're aware of this since the beginning of the year. So feel free to go and check the ARIN's website. All the qualifications and all the information that you may need for these mini grants is there. So the deadline is 15th, and I'll advise us to take this kind of strongly as we wait for the other mini grants that will be launched sooner. So that's the announcement I wanted to make. Back to you, Edna.
Thank you for that, and thank you all for coming in to this session. At this point, I'd like us to take our final photo. So if you're in a position to kindly turn on your camera. Those who are able to, please turn on your cameras. I'm waiting for more of us to turn on their cameras, please. Thank you for that. Perfect. I think that's okay. Be on the lookout for more of these kind of discussions on our social media platforms and on our webpage. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Edna. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you so much, and thank you.